Okay. Versatile Vigilante, Young Vince, Uncle Vinny. Got a special guest in the building, Mr. Seth G.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, my guy?
Appreciate you for having me, man.
Of course,
you got
bro.
the beers in here.
Our beers just fucking exploded before this, too. So that's how you know it's going to be a banger.
I tried to stop the process, you know what I'm saying? But
facts, bro. It's never easy.
Can't stop it.
Can't stop the process.
But thanks for having me nonetheless, though. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm super appreciative of you being here, man. How's life? How's the day been for you?
Day's been pretty good. Just running around, like, just some business stuff, like getting gear, you know, lunch, obviously essential. Make sure you eat your food. But yeah, and just a lot of business stuff, like just trying to organize myself, really. But the day was good, though. It wasn't too bad.
Fire, bro. So, for anybody watching, Seth G, I'm going to get him to tell his story, but he's from this crazy Brampton fucking talent pool, bro.
Yeah.
Another Brampton.
The big B's, man. Listen, shout out Brampton. Shout out all my brothers from Brampton. My sisters from Brampton, you know, the whole community. Like, Brampton's a very interesting place. And if this podcast proof for sure. Because, like, you know, a lot of the guests that have come through are a lot of my friends, a lot of people I grew up with.
Bro, so, all your homies, I owe you guys, man. You fucking putting me on, bro.
Come on, nah, not at all. You're doing your thing, you know what I'm saying? We appreciate you for sure, what you're doing here.
Appreciate it,
it's
bro.
A blessing for sure.
Hell yeah. So tell me a little bit about growing up in Brampton.
So like growing up in Brampton, it was pretty much interesting. Like I wasn't born in Brampton, but I was there from like super young. I was born in British Columbia. And I probably moved out to Brampton. I was like 2, so I'm from Brampton, grew up Brampton. But it's a pretty interesting place because there's a lot of people that like are your age, but this actual city itself is not necessarily. There's not necessarily too much stuff happening. So I kind of forced us to come up with stuff. So I remember a lot of our friends, a lot of like myself included. It was just a lot of mischievous stuff, like getting into trouble as a kid, like. You know, constantly being suspended. Not too tough of trouble, obviously, but we were just bored, really. Like, it's like you're in the suburbs. Everything's kind of far apart, right? So, even as a kid, you can't really get around to places. So, a lot of it was just really hanging out, doing stuff with your friends. Like, I got the privilege to, like, I grew up in a co-op, so a lot of my friends are down the street. You know, you can see where everybody is by their bike on the street and stuff like that. But, yeah, overall, like, growing up in Brampton really was a blessing. Even as we got older, started throwing parties and things like that. I started DJing and stuff like that. And it was like the community amongst like my peers and my age group was very close just because when there was something happening, everybody was there because it wasn't like, it's not like, not the city itself is not too busy, you know what I'm saying, in comparison to like, let's say Toronto where there's a nightclub every other doorstep or whatever, or it's just like very close knit. So with that said, like Brampton, it was a unique place. Like it made me a lot about of who I am. You know, it played a big factor of like how I operate, the community that I have, even the support system that I have, and where I am today. Ultimately, because if it wasn't for that environment, I wouldn't have necessarily became who I was. You know what I'm saying? It gave me my identity in a sense. So yeah, shout out to Brampton again for sure.
Shout out Brampton
for sure.
What you said there was very real because I've noticed that I'm from Mississauga, but which is right down the street from Brampton, and I always notice with Brampton that you mentioned it, that sense of loyalty, that sense of community, like not embarrassed to be where you're from. You know?
Yeah, like it's interesting because obviously there's jokes about Brampton. Like I'm not even gonna shed light on that because we obviously know that, but. What was interesting for me growing up was like even when we would throw parties when we were younger, it would still get people from outside of Brampton to come to Brampton, you know what I'm saying? So and now looking at it, there's a lot of people that obviously have made their name for themselves that are from Brampton, that a lot of people like to ignore the fact, but we just produce goats. Like Brampton just produces some high quality talented people, you know what I'm saying? And we all appreciate where we're from because of that. Like it's not necessarily a place that was looked at all the time as, oh, this is the place where, oh, no one's saying I gotta move to Brampton because that's where everybody is. Like it's usually we made the most of the environment that we were put in, you know what I'm saying, in the suburbs, and it gave us like the room and the ability to be more creative and create stuff and create those things that came from that. You know what I'm saying? Which was cool. So I'm definitely grateful for that. But yeah, like it's an interesting place though.
You guys are creating your own world, and you're not asking for any handouts. Like you're not. Like I hear a lot of people sometimes say, "Oh, no one's fucking with us." You guys are building your own fucking roster. Like I love to see that.
It's interesting because like it's hard. Like I think for me, I can only speak for myself really, right? So from my perspective, like growing up, obviously like I didn't really have too much. I didn't really travel outside of Brampton too much until I got real older, and like we were traveling for like whether it's work or whatever, shoots or whatever.
Yeah.
So a big thing about it was like I felt like not that I wasn't allowed to, but I wasn't okay with like not being okay with where I'm from. Like I realized early on like I have to appreciate where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? The city that I'm from, the people that are there, and really like make the most of that environment because ultimately that's what you're gonna carry with you. You know, so a lot of my friendships, a lot of like the support that I have, you know what I'm saying, is just from me appreciating where I'm from versus like I wouldn't say like not wanting handouts, but a lot of times you want to look at the other cities and look how their community is for whatever it is. Like even for me coming from like a film standpoint, Toronto is crazy for that, you know, and coming from Brampton is like there's not a lot of there's a lot of people that do film obviously, but the infrastructure, the community for that wasn't necessarily huge. So now it's like, as I got into film and I got into shooting more, definitely felt the need to really like make sure that, okay, the people that I know that are from Brampton that do this, appreciate them, they appreciate me. The support system is there so that like as I go into different cities, I'm still comfortable with that foundation, you know, which is like the most important thing to me, for real.
That's like a life lesson too, bro. It's one of those things where if you have that foundation and you make the most out of your situation, you're good. Like no matter what can happen after that, you're always good. So that's an awesome lesson to understand.
Yeah, like it's important because I think for me, I never wanted to be in a position where like not that like I don't ever see myself switching up, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I remained appreciative of like the people that poured into my life, you know. So for me, it's a big thing. There's a lot of people that even if I haven't spoken to them, you know, in a minute, like if we had a good moment and we were had a good relationship at the time, and let's say I move or something, it doesn't necessarily change that relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that kind of helped me to like be okay with people being able to move, and obviously we grow apart and grow older and stuff like that. But if the foundation's there, then the support goes beyond years, beyond location, beyond, you know what I'm saying, like circumstances. So 100%. It's like it's key for sure.
You're right, bro. It's just that common understanding, you know. Everyone's got to do the best that they can, and you know, respect it, whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, definitely.
I fuck with that. So you touched on film community. Would you describe yourself as a director, a videographer? Not to put a label on you, but what for the people watching?
So it's interesting. Like, okay, so I definitely struggle with this question.
It's a tough question, bro.
It's a tough one, you know. But I would say that I am a director. I would say that because I feel like I'm definitely still learning the process of filmmaking, you know, but I guess the attention to detail that I want to apply to the work that I do is far, I'm not going to say far greater than videography, it's just different from it.
Right.
Like in the sense of like, for me, I feel like I was a videographer at one point where I was just kind of filming what people asked me to film, documenting and shooting and storytelling, in that sense, putting it together, making sure it looks good. And that's still a big job as itself, but I'm kind of growing into that director hat, just because I want to definitely tell more stories. Like in the future, my goal is to write more, whether that's direct a short film, TV series or something like that, but definitely get more into like directing and handling film production whether that's the crew to the stories to how we tell this story. Like, so get into the more like the more finer details of filmmaking.
Right.
So I would call myself a director. And then yeah, but that's not that's where I am now. Like, I don't think that's not where I was a couple years ago, which is interesting. Kind of just led me to this place.
100%, bro. Take me through kind of your early days in deciding you even wanted to jump into this. Were you always interested in film?
Yeah, so quick shout out to French, my dog JP, a big director. So like me and him grew up in church together, and as like for the both of us, it was very like creative minds. Always joking about like skits and stuff like that, just like making like different like improv comedy as we would go on. And then that led us both to start YouTube. I wasn't really serious about it at first. It was just as of recent that I got serious. But for him, he was doing his YouTube stuff, and through that, like, we got a chance to make like a bunch of skits on his channel and stuff like that, which kind of led me to filmmaking and telling stories naturally. Like, I've always been a very funny guy and been that person to storytell naturally, so that kind of directed me in that way. But later on into high school, it was interesting because I definitely fell in love with photography, and I was doing photography, just kind of taking pictures of my friends at school. Then that led to like me filming the basketball games and recording that, and then I got the opportunity to do a wedding video for like a family friend or a friend of mine. And that kind of got me into like filmmaking. I'm not gonna lie, this might sound bad, but like that was like the first time I made like a lot of money as a kid, like doing something that wasn't like a typical job, you know? Like, yep. I worked at McDonald's and stuff like that, and I remember quitting McDonald's or like going on leave to basically pursue like the creative work, because I had a vision that I could live off of this. And obviously it's weird because I'm probably like 17, 16 at the time, but yeah, like that wedding video put me into position to, you know, give my friends some money to help work on that project with me. And I was young, and it's crazy because if I was to explain that to myself, that people are going to give you, let's say it's 800,000, whatever it is, like at that young age to film this, and that's something you're doing for fun up until this point, like it just taught me like the business to take it more serious, because obviously people are entrusting me with their money to create a project for them, you know. So after that, I was still doing like small projects here and there throughout the wedding stuff. Like some friends would ask me to do like music videos, like small music videos here and there. And then I got the chance to like creative direct for an artist, Rico Rife, out of the city of Brampton as well. And through there, that's when I got to shoot, I think 2 music videos for him. So this is now like 2019, I believe. And that definitely got me in the mode of shooting more often and like coming up with treatments and plans and things like that. And yeah, like in regards to video, that would be the trajectory of it. But honestly, throughout like college and stuff like that and going to school, I was doing a lot of DJing. And while I was doing DJing, I wasn't really shooting like that, but that kind of solidified the name. Obviously, I've always been Seth G and stuff like that, but DJing is like, yo, if they remember you doing a great party and DJing a great party and you had a great set, like, that's when the Seth G came out, and I ended up making, like, I got one of my friends to, like, make, like, a tag and stuff like that. So that's where I think, like, the name grew out of and solidified itself. And then, yeah, through there, it was just really, like, because I was going to parties with all these people, all my friends that I grew up with, and I know they started doing music. Like, the same guys that would ask me to play their songs are the same people that, you know what I'm saying, they would ask me to also shoot their videos and stuff like that. So that got me into like, more shooting as of recent. That's
so dope, bro. That's
yeah.
You seem, just off meeting you for the first time, you seem to be someone that has a very open mind. Like, you're willing
Appreciate
to
it.
try shit out, and I think that's so valuable because that's how you find talent, bro. That's how you find things you might like.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know? Doing that wedding, how the fuck would you have known I want to be a filmer, bro? Like, for real.
Yeah, like the thing about it is, like, I've definitely said no to a lot of things and regretted it, you know? Like, whether it's a project or a shoot or someone wants me to do a video, or even my friend hits me up and says, I have a guy that wants you to do a video, like, I'm not going to act like I don't say no, because I do. Like, I say no a lot, but it's not even out of, like, pride. It's just, like, maybe they're just catching me at a wrong time, where it's, like, I'm not serious, you know? So I definitely try more often to, like, be like, okay, I don't necessarily know the true potential of anybody I speak to, right? So I can't write any opportunity off right quick. Plus, I have to look at my circumstances as well. It's not like I shot, like, all these up where I've been working, where I can just be sitting and not doing nothing. You know, I still have to be practicing my skill as well. So I kind of try to keep an open mind, you know what I'm saying? Definitely more than usual, so that I'm able to practice. And like you said, like, you don't know what can come from those collaborations or those opportunities. And it's like every opportunity is a big opportunity for real, because you really don't know, like, you don't know where it could take you, or where it could put you out in this situation. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely crazy to look back and see the stuff that played out, stuff that didn't, kind of where it brought me to today. And it's like, yeah, everything about where I am now is definitely a product of, like, those steps leading up to it, you know?
Absolutely, bro. You were, at the time, without even knowing it, investing in yourself. Like, by doing this, it's going to pay off, because I'm going to get better, and then down the road, I'll be able to do even sicker shit.
Exactly.
Real,
like, it's interesting, like, just to think about it, because the one thing I always say, and I'm pretty sure everybody can deal with this, but, like, for me, it's not that I never really realized my potential, but you don't really see it for yourself.
Yep.
Like, you don't really see, or you find it hard to see or, like, agree with how other people see you. So, like, even when I was DJing and stuff like that, like, it was interesting because obviously to out everybody else, like, yo, you're doing your thing, whatever, and I'm over there, like, I'm just kind of doing what is coming to mind, you know what I'm saying? And what's, like, available right now. Like, it's just me really testing the waters. I'm not necessarily doing this stuff confident, saying, like, oh, I know this is gonna work. Like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really just testing it out, really trying to learn myself. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. Like, I would try something, it would work, and then I would reassess to say, do I want to continue this or pick it up, you know? So it's cool to look at, like how, like, you navigate through things and where it brings you.
It's super cool, bro. It's like the game of life, man. You don't know unless you try it. As cliche as that shit sounds,
It's real, though.
you can't skip steps out here, bro. Like, without that wedding, you wouldn't be able to do this fly shit that you're doing right now.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's all part of it.
Yeah, no, it's grateful. That just shows me, like as the opportunities come, like, obviously if it doesn't align with either what you're trying to do or what your expectation is, good to analyze the opportunities that do come across the table. But if you know that it's just you that's holding you back from it, I feel like you should just go for it. And that's how I look at it. And the worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work out, and you realize it doesn't work out, and now you at least know, okay, I'm 100% not on that. I'm not doing that, you know? And I say, like, I feel like, again, like, it's life. And we don't really know what the right answer is, what the right destination is, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, like what the perfect route for you to take, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like if you at least are doing it intentionally, that's the biggest thing. Like, that's the thing that definitely plays a bigger factor than if you made the right choice or not, is your intention on your moves.
Exactly. Doing it for a reason, having a reason for what you're trying to do, believing in what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
That's real, bro. I feel like, and I've been around film sets a little bit, not anything crazy, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's a great environment to learn that too, because there's always shit happening. Something can go wrong at any time, and you just gotta keep going. And
Yeah.
you know,
It's like you literally have to make I've been on sets where they just either, let's say they can all be filming and something goes wrong while they're filming, and because it's a good take, like they just kind of have to figure it out or run when they say, yo, wait till it's done and then we'll make a decision. But definitely, like, it teaches you, like, I think for me, when you watch a movie or watch any project, you're like, yo, this is so perfect. Like, how did they get this? Or what was their thought process around all of this? And then you kind of discourage yourself to say, I can't do something like that. But then when you get on set, it's definitely, it's like, you see the work that gets put into it, but you still understand that there's a lot of stuff that they probably wanted to do that's not necessarily involved in it, you know? Like, so that's an interesting that I look at. And like you said, like, yeah, being on those sets and looking at those projects, it teaches you a lot about that environment and just like the process of creating and becoming something in general. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, yeah, like, it just takes time, and the bad things that happen, like the mistakes that happen or the errors that happen, are just as important as, like, those successful moments. And if anything, those errors are the reason why those successful moments are possible. At the end of the day, like, they're both necessary, which is it sucks to say, but I feel like when you just look at things as, okay, this is just what's happening, versus that's a good thing or that's a bad thing, it's like, it is what it is, because, like, yeah, you know what I mean?
100%, bro. I'm smiling because everything you're saying, I completely understand.
Appreciate
what you're
that.
talking about.
Nah, man.
And I've said this to the other homies too. Like, the fact that you guys are, like, super young knowing this shit is crazy, because there's people that are fucking 40 years old that don't realize that shit.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, why does bad things keep happening? Why, you know? And you don't realize, yo, it is what it is. Let's move. Let's do what we got to do with it.
Like, it's interesting. Like, I definitely, for me, I don't know. I definitely grew up around a lot of older people, and the biggest thing is just listening to, like, different stories and listening to different experiences that kind of teach you that, you know. Obviously, like my relationship with God is definitely a big factor on, like, my perspective on life, you know. But also, like, my parents and my older siblings, and just even, like, the older people that I grew up around, and whether it's, like, in the neighborhood and stuff like that. So I feel like our generation is, like, we're fine-tuning not the mistakes that were made beforehand, but we're taking that into know. Like, for my life especially, I feel like I try my best to look at the examples that were set for me, or even if they weren't set for me necessarily, I just look at the lives that, you know, the experiences that happened before I was here or while I didn't know what was going on, and kind of use that to apply it to my life, to say, okay, I know this happened in this situation for someone else. How can we approach this? Like, you know, and obviously I definitely messed up, continue to mess up all the time, but the best thing for me is, like, my network, and being able to just talk to people about what they go through, their difficulties, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like, just listening to people's stories and being able to relate to other people, like, it allows me to even share my experience for other people. Like, that allows us to really kind of guard each other, you know, from the worst thing that can happen. Obviously, you can't protect yourself from everything, but overall, like, it definitely plays a factor, you know? So, yeah.
Oh, that's real wisdom, bro, because everything really has happened already. It's just how we haven't maybe seen it for ourselves, you know?
Yeah, there's this verse that my mom always tells me, and it goes, there's nothing new under the sun. And that one sticks to me always because it's very practical, you know? And you hear a lot of people talk about it, whether it's about creativity and different things like that, but it's like, there's literally nothing new under the sun. Like, all the things that necessarily happen to people have either been happening for years or are going to continue to happen for years, you know what I'm saying? But, like, yeah, you know, like, you can learn from it, obviously. In our perspective, it is new for me, but, like those things have been, like, it's not new.
Exactly.
You know?
That mentality helps me out a lot in just reminding myself to try to stay calm and understand, like, okay, happen, let's take a deep breath here. There's a way to maneuver here. You know, as opposed to just spiraling and fucking like, oh my god.
Yeah, you know? You have to catch yourself, because you can definitely spiral, and it's like you might spiral for a little bit. Like, we're not gonna lie here, like
human beings.
Like, even as much, sometimes I'll know it happens and someone else made it through the situation, and I'll still choose to not care and still flip out. Like, I do not care. Like, I don't care who's made it through. I don't care if this will pass. Nah,
like, this is my shit now.
I'm claiming this, and I'm about to freak out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, definitely, it just like, I think with everything it helps, because it kind of allows you to be yourself in that situation, versus feeling like you have to know how to handle it, or like
there's not one way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because it's been happening in different ways to different people, that should just tell you that your story is your story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how you have to look at it. If there's a bunch of other people that do the same thing as you, or go through the same thing as you, the only thing that's different about your situation is the fact that you're the one going through it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yo, you got the keys.
That's it. Like, no one can take that away from you, and no one can really, like, you can't default that or look past that point. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is your time to go through it, you know? But it has been done before, or there is examples that we can use as encouragement that will help us on our journey from other people.
There's examples. It's weird. It's like, you're not special, but you're also the most special, because it's like you, but there's billions of others.
Yeah, like I feel like and it's crazy because, like, I just recently, like, I had a video on YouTube talking about this before, but I just posted, like, the questioning specifically from that video on my Instagram, and the question pretty much was like, and I'll ask you this and see what you think, like, what your thoughts are on this, but the question was, like, what do you think is more important, who you are or what you do? Like, and my thoughts on the question that brought me to that place was obviously, like, I was kind of doing a lot of things, or I was known to do a lot of things, whether that's DJing, photography, video, you know what I'm saying? And I was kind of, like, in a place where I was like, okay, I don't know how to title myself, because one thing is not going to define me, like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, what's more important? Like, am I supposed to know the one thing that I do and this is all I do, or is it better to, like, focus on, you know, explaining myself? And it's interesting that we're talking about this now, because it's like, yeah, like, the things that we do, obviously a bunch of people have done them, you know what I'm saying? So I'll ask you that question, like it's a big question, but what would you say? Like, your perspective on that would be?
First of all, I watched that video. I love that you put that out there, because I love that conversation. I think about that a lot. In this current part of my life, and I say that because I feel like we're always in, like, a different stage, you know? In this part of my life, I'm going to answer that question and say it's the things that you do. And the reason I say that is because, bro, people talk, man. A lot of people say a lot of shit. I do this, and this. And, you know, talk words. They, you know, they're not. At this point in my life, I've seen so many people talk and not really back up what they're saying. And then when you realize to do something, you really need to put yourself in a position to potentially fail. Like, kind of what you were talking about. Putting yourself in an awkward place, uncomfortable place. And to do that, I think, takes balls, you know? And when you start to do a bunch of shit and you put yourself in different experience, you meet new people, you see different things, I think that impacts you. As opposed to saying you're going to do shit and not really doing it, what's going to really change? You know, how do you grow from that? So, I don't know if that's what you meant by the question. That's how I interpret it as.
It's like...
But, sorry to interrupt, last thing though. I do like how you said it's hard to, like, describe... I don't know how to describe myself. I stopped kind of trying to do that because, you know, a label, or, like, just saying I'm this, and this. And that's why I asked you the videographer question, because it's like it's hard to describe yourself,
Yeah.
you know. So I like to say it's what you do, because that speaks for itself, you know. If you're someone that's willing to help others and you actually do it, you've done things to support, you know, you've done different things on different videos, film sets, and you DJs and shit like that, that's all impacted your life, you know.
Yeah.
If you had just spoken about it, it hits different, you know.
You're
You were
talking
actually
facts,
doing
though.
it.
That's a different perspective, because it kind of like shows you from, like, I didn't even look at it like that in that way, but it's important because, like, how you explain it is like you kind of look at what people do, their actions, obviously.
Yeah.
Right. It speaks a lot about them. And I guess, like, the point I got to it, like, with that question really was, like, a lot of the responses I was getting on my Instagram was, like, they kind of go hand in hand, obviously, but you can't focus more on one versus the other. But both are just as important, because in your context, like, when you put it like that, it's like, yeah, if I say I'm this, or I'm this person, or this is what I do, but there's no action towards it, then they're just words, you know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't mean nothing to anybody if there's no proof, you know? So it's like, it's an interesting conversation to have, but I feel like it's necessary for people to continue to have that, you know what I'm saying?
It is, bro, because it's humbling too. Where it's like, am I really, you know, am I doing what I want to do? Am I, you know, or because, you know, I'm someone too that, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I say, like, I don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, we all do give a fuck. Like, if someone's like, yo, you're a clown, okay, maybe it won't keep me up at night, but I'll think about it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a balance of, like, words and actions in a way, you know?
Yeah, like, yeah.
It's an interesting conversation, bro.
It's one of those ones where I definitely feel like that's going to be one of the questions that I'll have to keep asking myself, like, as I get older. And, like, it'll just be, like, almost like I feel like that's a very grounding question. Because when I sat there and asked myself that, like, it really grounded me to say, okay, look at, like, let's say if it's, you haven't really thought about this for the last 5 years. Look at what you've done. And then, okay, is that the best representation of yourself? You know what I'm saying?
I feel you on that, because you're right, bro. Are you gonna, like, when you have kids and shit, you have kids?
No.
When you have kids, they're gonna look at you like, that's my dad. They're not gonna look at you
like
a director, you know. They don't know.
They're gonna be like, oh, okay, I know my dad at home that's not necessarily, like, you know what I'm saying, doing stuff. Or I just know him apart from, even when it comes to, like, my mom is a big part of, like, my thought process when it comes to my work, like, because the opportunity to share that with your parents is, I think it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily get to appreciate, which is unfortunate. But for me, it was like, my thing was, like, even with music videos, like, there's some songs I wish I could do them. I wish I could be that guy that just shot videos. Yeah. But then I'm like, what if I want to show my mom that I'm nice with the camera? Like, you know, I can't really show my mom this bare butt in the frame, like, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like literally, as you're saying, it's like it's still very valuable to see that the work that I do on screen or whatever the case may be, whether it's on the internet, I still want, like, the peers that I grew up with and the people that I don't necessarily talk to about video or any of my work, like, they still need to be able to see myself in the work that I'm doing and the you know, the work that I'm putting out. And I think that's key, because that's what keeps you connected with your work, right? Or else you're kind of just playing a role almost.
Yeah, it's basically, you're just there for a paycheck then, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something too where I do feel like it is based on what you do, but it's not about your job title. I will say that. Like, you could be and we've seen it a million times, where a CEO that's a billionaire could be a fucking piece of shit, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at him like he's a great guy because he's a CEO, you know? And you can be a homeless man with a great heart. And I'm not going to look at you like you're a piece of shit because you don't have a home. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of it, where I've learned that, especially in the last couple of years. I think we look at, like, rappers and actors and like billionaires and shit, like they're great people. That's not what it is. They might have reached a success in their profession, but there's people in the community that might really not have a dollar to their name, but
they're the best people. And
exactly.
that's definitely that's like I'm sure there's people that everybody know that you're like, you could easily be like famous or easily be one of those guys, but they just live their life or live within their means, like, you know, in their situation. Exactly. And it's like it doesn't default them, you know. And that's another thing why it's like when I look at it, it's like, obviously it doesn't, like you said, what you do does not define who you are, like,
no,
in any means, because you can get that title. There's a lot of people that get that title, but there's a lot of other things that take away. Like, did they cheat to get that way? Like, did they have to, you know, like, finesse their way into that position, you know?
Exactly.
So it's real, because there's people that don't have those big titles or even, like, the big accolades, whether it's musicians, artists, you know, videographers, directors. Like, there's people that have the talent that might not have the recognition, but it doesn't mean that they're bad.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's a great point, too. And I think that when you ask that question, that's kind of what I went back to as well. Like, if you are good with what you're doing and you believe in what you're doing and you think you're, like you said earlier, like, I did this for a reason. Whether it works out or not, I did it for a reason. I had the intentions. I really think that's what matters, bro. If you're not good with yourself, it doesn't matter what about your accolades, bro. You know, no one's going to tell you that, oh, you're the greatest, and if you feel like you're a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Literally. Like, I know everybody knows Gary Vee. Like, I remember he's always talking about you can't listen to the good or the bad, like, input. Yeah. Because, let's say, when the good input stops, then you're going to be like, what am I doing this for? And if the bad keeps going, you're gonna be like, what am I gonna, you know? So equally, you're at mercy to both of those inputs. So I feel like for me, it's like, I'm gonna do this regardless of the outcome, but I'm intentional of how it could impact people. Yeah. And when I do get good response from my work, obviously I'm very grateful and very blessed to receive that, but I'm still going to be just as, like, critical of my next move and how I'm gonna approach my next situation, because it's like we can't use, like, these kind of superstitial things to let us know if we're doing all right. Obviously, like, okay, like, if a good song gets an award, that's just proof that it was a good song. But I'm pretty sure we knew that beforehand. Yes. And there's been a lot of good songs and a lot of good movies that didn't get those awards, and people were shocked. But it doesn't take away from the fact that it's a good, you know what I'm saying? It's a good piece of work.
That's super real.
Like, and I had to learn that because I'm not the biggest, you know, personality or had the biggest Instagram or whatever the case may be, or got the most views or whatever. But I think for me, when I realized that, like, I still have people in my life that constantly show love, and, like, a community in that sense that talk about my work or actually discuss what I'm doing, is like, that obviously shows me, like, what I'm doing has some value to add, whether or not it's not on a big screen or not seen to everybody. Even if I can get 10 people, like that last video I posted, is like, it got to the point where people are in my comments replying to each other. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, it's like you just started the whole discussion. I'm like, that to me is more valuable than anything, because it's showing impact. It's showing that, like, you know, you're initiating a conversation that many people can have. That's a bunch of friendships that could come from that, you know. So I'm just, like, it's just big on building your community, right? Because we can try to our best to, like, lead by trying to impact the world, but obviously it starts with who you meet, the relationships that are closest to you, because if anything, that's the biggest reflection of what that would look like on a major scale.
100%, bro. You're talking some real shit, man.
Appreciate it.
Because, yo, you know what? If you can be a positive influence on someone, they can be a positive influence on someone else, and it goes down the line. And I love that mentality, because it's like taking it, you know, it's, I think some people get too far in the future, like, I want to do this, this, and this, and then it's so overwhelming that you don't eventually really do anything.
Yeah.
And what you're describing, I love it, because you're making an impact, and who knows how far it can grow just by, you know, you had an honest question. Let me put this out there.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows?
Definitely. Because I overthink, like 100%. I overthink, and that really stopped me from doing a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of YouTube videos that I said I was gonna do, some that were filmed and will probably never come out, because I'm just like, I waited. I doubted myself for too long, or I'm like, oh, nah, this is not as big as I can see it being. And it just stopped me from just committing to that idea. So now it's kind of looking at the fact that, like, I know whatever I create now is not going to be my last, you know what I'm saying? God's willing, like, as long as I'm still on the earth and I still have the passion to create, like, it's not going to be the final thing that I do, you know? So it takes less pressure off the everyday stuff, the process, because technically you're learning. So even if it's not perfect, you know, it doesn't mean that it couldn't be completed to any extent, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I think is the biggest thing. It's just, if I can find an idea and complete it, and it's done, and it's able to post, I'm still gonna pick at it. Obviously, I'm still gonna be like, I could have changed that, or I could have did this, or I could have did this. But it's like, nah, just put it out and just work on the next thing.
100%. I completely agree with you on that, bro. I realize that too, man. Put it out. Just do it. Fucking put it out. Because if you don't, you're always gonna have that question. Yeah. And the interesting thing about our time, like TikTok, Instagram world, no one really gives a fuck, which is very freeing. It's like, yo,
it's lovely.
Oh, maybe people like aren't thinking my shit's a masterpiece, but some people might fuck with it, and the people that don't, they forget about that shit in a fucking 10 seconds, bro. They scroll up 1 sec, and it's like, I got no pressure on me. I can put out whatever the fuck I want to put out. It's crazy.
Like, even when you don't post, like it's crazy for me. Like, I can post something now, and let's say I see someone at the end of the summer, they'll probably still remember, like, the last thing I did before this, and be like, yo, what you saying? Like, I remember you were just doing this. And for you, it's like, bro, that was how long ago? And you've done all this stuff, or you've been stressing trying to post all these stuff out, like, you know? So it's like, it's just that, I guess, that main character syndrome. Like, you just think, for everybody feels like everybody, I go through that all the time. Like, even if it's like, I check old friends from high school, or check my brothers and whatnot, it's like, bro, they're all thinking about, I haven't posted nothing. Like, they're just thinking, like, it's like, nah, it's just you. Like, it's literally just me thinking about all this stuff, you know? But it's crazy.
That can get some people down, but I think it's actually a good thing. Because it reminds you, like, bro, I really could do whatever I gotta do out here. Shit's an open canvas, you know? Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, like, it's not my responsibility to be perfect, because that's impossible for me to do, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to make mistakes, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, hey, well, I must say that they're not intentional, but some of them I might have thought really intentional on not making a mistake, and that was the mistake, you know? So, like, when you look at it like that, it's just, obviously, it's a very vulnerable position to put yourself in, because you don't want to obviously mess up and people to see, but you'll learn from it, really. Like, as long as you can grow from the situations, that's kind of how I have to look at it now. And again, like, just being very intentional on the impact I want to make, you know, and the legacy that I'm trying to leave, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of just, I feel like that's definitely going to dictate my moves going further. But it's like, yeah, like you said, it's very freeing, because I can post something and be very stressed, but someone just probably scrolled through it or scrolled by it. And if someone has the energy to say something crazy, it's like, okay, like, it's not that serious, you know? I'm not a politician or the president or nothing like that. Like, so, you know, you have the freedom of speech, and it's your responsibility to do it as you may.
Exactly.
You know.
And it all goes back to, you know what, you're putting yourself out there, so you're signing up for, yeah, some potential dickheads to say something. But there's also going to be those moments where you see the conversation in your comments. You're like, wow, I can't believe like something came out of that like this. You know.
Like I was having a conversation with my friend earlier today, and it was crazy because that's just confirmation in that sense, because he was pretty much just saying like, even if we were talking about YouTube stuff like that, and he's like, yeah, even if you don't post, people are still gonna find something to not like about you. Like, let's say you're doing something and they're like, yo, I hate that this guy does this. Like, he thinks he can just call himself whatever, and that's what it was. Like, why is he wearing that yellow hat, like that blue hoodie, you know? But let's say I do the exact opposite. I'm saying, you know what? I'm gonna listen to you guys. I'm gonna do the exact opposite. They're gonna be like, yo, why is he not wearing that hat?
Facts.
Like, oh, where's your hat? Not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are gonna find something if they genuinely don't like you or genuinely are just haters. You know, as typical as that word is, but if they're genuinely just, you know, not supporting what you got going on, it's like that's not gonna change. Like, you cannot change that. So I'm starting to learn that, but once she told me that, I really put it in perspective. Is like, I kind of just have to do what I feel is best for myself and my family, you know what I'm saying, and my goals, because like everybody is looking at that the same way. Like, they're not necessarily looking at what they don't want me to do as this is gonna benefit me. You know, it's more like it's their issue.
It's their issue,
just portraying
or
projecting, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
That's real, man, and that's when you just have that confidence yourself, where it's kind of like a mixture of thick skin, but also like whatever, bro.
Yeah.
You know? It's like just it is what it is.
Yeah, like it's hard to. It's a hard like, what would I call it? Like, it's a hard characteristic to develop, you know. But I feel like I would say for me growing up, I've always been put in situations where I've had audiences, you know, whether that's like growing up in church and they want you to read the announcements in front of all these people, or it's like posting YouTube videos as a kid, or going back to high school after posting a weird skit over the weekend, like even playing sports and stuff like that, like just understanding audiences, and like people, someone's watching, you know. And then on another thing, I remember I had this public speaking class in college, and a big thing that I took away from that class was like, people are more understanding than you think, and that kind of like, it definitely helped, because you kind of go out with a confidence, like, okay, as much as I feel like you might laugh or you might be like, if they genuinely care about me, they're not bullying me. Like, you know, obviously there's gonna be times where you might act a goof and they'll make fun of you or they'll get at you or whatever the case may be, but people are more understanding than you think. And it's only a few, like the majority, I would say, are more understanding than they think. And it's that genuine support. They genuinely want to see you win. It's like, okay, if you mess up, they might tell you about it. Like, your friends might tell you, you're wilding for you're wilding for that one, or that one wasn't the one. But genuinely, they're not going to like stop you from learning and making moves in general. You know, like to try to keep you stagnant. So yeah, like it's a tough one to develop, that kind of not caring, but
that's real, bro. You're right, man. It's because the one person that hates, we weigh it like, oh, it's so big, but there's like 10 other people that are like, yo, that was dope.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, it goes back to that Gary Vee shit. Like, just try to balance it all.
Nah,
you know?
Definitely. Like, at the end of the day, I feel like that's not why you do it in the first place. That's just the product of your actions originally.
Facts. If you enjoy doing it, shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't.
That's all that it is.
It helps, but it shouldn't be the depicting, like,
exactly,
you know, situation or circumstance, for sure.
That's real as fuck, bro. That's a dope conversation, because those are life lessons, man. That shit, I've learned that too, man. Like, it's not like we get over those things. It's just learn how to deal with it, learn how to understand ourselves a bit better, read situations and maneuver. You know, I was talking to my boy about this the other day. He's like, bro, to make a move and know that you're not gonna see immediate gains from it takes balls, bro. Because you have to trust that you're doing it for a reason, and to do that, bro.
And it's scary because there's so much like exterior pressure.
Yep.
Like just a lot of exterior pressure from whatever. It could be your parents, society. You know, especially in this time where a lot of us are learning that we should trust our creativity, and there is a lane for you to, you know, provide and create a real good circumstance, good situation for yourself. There wasn't always proof of that. You know, it definitely did feel impossible. But even now, like, as I get older on a small scale, it's like, it's making it happen in some circumstance. Like, I'm able to strictly work in a creative aspect and pay for what I need to pay for, you know what I'm saying, down the road. The goal is obviously to, you know, provide for a whole family off of what I do. But it's possible, like, because you're seeing it on this scale, and you just got to continue to do that.
Yep.
And then see those results. But yeah, like, obviously for the first half, it's quiet. You're just kind of learning. No one wants to see it. Either people are doubting it, telling you what could go wrong or what did go wrong for someone else.
Yep.
So it's a real, like, scary place to navigate, because now you have to say, okay, am I going to trust my vision of what I'm trying to do? Like, am I going to really, like, commit to this and say, yo, you know what I'm saying, through thick and thin, like, whatever is about to happen with this, I'm just going to continue to pursue this for real.
100%, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you're talking about church and God, and that's, I think, real faith, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
Definitely. You have to keep faith, like,
yep.
Because for me, it's like, without faith, I wouldn't necessarily know, like, I know the outcome from my perspective, you know, but I can sit here and say, like, the reality of my life is definitely, like, I couldn't really imagine it at the time. Like, whether that's me being able to work in the space that I like to work in, you know, making money off of a camera, like, that I used to joke around with as a kid. Yeah. You know, like even running, like, you know, business, understanding business, the business of what I do. It's just insane to me, because there's a point where, like, when I was graduating school, I did not know what I wanted to do. Like, I knew what I was doing, you know what I'm saying, when it came to, like, okay, I'm doing all this cool stuff for my friends and, you know, this fun stuff and whatever. But when it came to reality, like, now my school's asking me, like, okay, what are we applying for? You know, so it's, like, almost as if I created, like, a lane, or not created, but I developed, like, my position in society based off the opportunities that I've been given, you know, to be able to say, like, okay, I really, like, I'm trying to do this, and I can function in the world while doing so, which is crazy, because it's hard to even think of how that's gonna happen. Like, you're like, how do people make money doing this, or how do you even keep good credit while, you know what I'm saying, like, you're getting paid cash or whatever. Like, just a lot of different business stuff and just financial stuff and just life, you know. So yeah, faith definitely keeps me to this day. Like, I try my best to just stay prayed up, you know, and just stay focused on, you know, just that truth.
Yep.
That, like, yo, you might not see it yourself, or not that you might not see it, but if you do see it, you should really envision the future, you know what I'm saying, and speak that to existence, because you don't necessarily know, based on looking at your issues, what could be. But if you try to focus on, you know, okay, these are my problems, yes, but I know in my heart that this is where I see myself, and that's what we're working towards. It just makes those issues, it makes you stronger to go get through the stuff that you're going through. So
100%.
like, that's how I try to look at it, for sure.
I love it, bro.
Yeah.
I kept not to. I didn't want you to think I'm a weirdo because I kept smiling whatever you're saying, but I'm fuck, bro. Everything this guy's saying is fucking facts, man.
I appreciate it, man. No, I appreciate
that,
it, bro.
man. For
that, sure.
You have a really good head on your shoulder,
Thank
bro.
you.
Thank you. Fuck, man. I love to hear that. I love to hear that.
Appreciate
shit. With the filming shit, was there any situations that you had that were like kind of an inspiration for you, like maybe working on someone else's set? Like, was there anyone who you watched do their thing, you're like, wow, I really fuck with that?
Yeah. So like just recently I graduated from the Remix project, and that's just like a creative incubator, creative mentoring program out of the city of Toronto. So I was in there for video, and through there I met just a lot of like very creative people. Like my mentor in that program, Brock and Cash, they kind of really brought Cash brought me onto set, and I got to see like a full scale, like what it would look like, and it was crazy because even when I got on set, that's where I met a lot of other people like Brown Guy and Debo. So, and these were people that I knew, but even they never knew me to do video. I just kind of was around and very like, I didn't lead with that. Like, I know I wanted to do video. I know I'm okay with it, but I didn't lead like, oh, yo, I'm trying to do this, you know? So, through there, like, I got to help out on set with Brown Guy and shout out JP, shout out my name French for sure. Like, you know, with the stuff that he's doing, like, he's always asking me to come like help him out, and always had the open door to come help him out. And he's just also like all these people kind of like, what was inspiring for me was getting to be around these people and them looking at my work and giving their take on it, you know, which was a blessing, because obviously like your friends will tell you that your work is good, and they're not lying, you know, because obviously the work is good. It's just interesting to see what another person in your field will say, because they have whether it's the language or the knowledge, like they just understand how to like explain why they like what you do.
Yeah.
Because they either know from their experience, you know. So it's just very cool to see that, and just being on different sets through that program really showed me that I'm in an environment that I fit in. You know, I didn't really feel like outcast and stuff like that, but obviously, like, getting into the Toronto film scene was interesting because, you know, again, like, I grew up in Brampton, so obviously, like, you know, even down to the way I dress is, like, just very calm, simple, you know?
Yeah.
Not really artsy, like, so you go downtown and it's, like, all the fashionista, you know what I'm saying? So
Main Street West.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, so it was just, I would say those people like definitely are a big factor of like, I guess, the confidence that I have today, just because that was a place where I had workout, but I didn't really care to like make more. It was kind of like, as opportunities came, if you think this is good for me, then I'll do it, but I didn't really lead with it. So just having those people look at my work and say, yo, you know, like, I hold you to this standard, was interesting, because I would have thought, okay, yeah, I understand these people, I know these people, but I wouldn't really put myself in that category with those people, you know?
Right.
But the fact that you have people that have been doing this or are making a living off of this and kind of supporting themselves and their family off of this, saying, okay, yo, like, if this is what you want to do, I don't see why you can't, because you have everything in you to do so, is inspiring. It gives me the confidence to kind of just keep going, like, keep doing my thing, you know?
100%, man. No, that's real as fuck, because you're looking for guidance from the right people, you know? Someone that's never been in the game, that really doesn't know what you're doing, gives you guidance. You weigh it completely differently than someone like, you know, Brown Guy, or someone like in the game that you're trying to get into, you know?
Yeah, like, it's different just because they've also put themselves at risk to the same things that you are putting yourself at risk to, you know? Like, not to say that other people can't really speak into you or speak into your life, because that's far from the truth, but it definitely means something, like, if you have a mentor that obviously has went along to do the things or understands the same situation that you're putting yourself into. Like, even being in a creative space, like, I remember leaving school, and it was interesting because, like, all my friends kind of took a different route. Other than, like, the people that I talk to this day that are still on the creative stuff, but for the most part, there's, like, a bunch of other people that went on to do this or this specific job or this, you know, specific task, and obviously I can talk to them about this stuff, but it did make me a little bit insecure because I'm like, okay, I want to work with cameras and work in media and all this artsy stuff. Even my mom still to this day can't explain what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, she'll be like, yeah, he's in media, or she'll get me to talk about the last project I worked on or whatever the case may be. You know, so like seeing people that are living well off of it is like encouraging because they're looking at you like, yo, don't stress. Even if you feel like, okay, how am I going to get to a point where I'm making just as much as a typical job? You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, it's sooner than you think if you really just... But if the work is there for that, the opportunity is there for that, you know? I just really had to realize it. So that just helped focus my direction, you know, going further.
It goes back to what we were saying earlier where... There's nothing new under the sun. These guys have done, you know, some things that you are gonna do, and
it doesn't their career doesn't take away from my career. You know what I'm saying? And my career doesn't take away from their career. If anything, we add to each other's because what I learned from those people, if I go on and do my thing, not that I don't know these people to take credit. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, they played a factor in who I am. You know what I'm saying? If they influenced me to become this,
hell yeah, then
boom, all the credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, 100%. So that's why I look at it as like yeah, like you said, like there's nothing new under the sun, and that's biblical. You know, like there's people that you can reach out to that understand your position, whether it's business, whatever industry you're in, whatever experience, even if it has nothing to do with work, even if you're just asking a question about life. That's why I feel like it's key to really listen when you're in certain rooms and around certain people that have more experience. All you can do is soak it up, you know what I'm saying, and just really listen to what they have to say.
It's so true, bro. And it's funny, too, because it's kind of like you could kind of say it's selfish because, like, yo, if that guy blows up and I was working on his film, it's going to take me to a different level. And it's like, yeah, it's a little stuff, but at the same time, they're blessed. You're blessed. Let's go. Yeah, like, we should have more of that.
The thing I understand is like these guys wouldn't they wouldn't be helping me if they felt like I was coming to like take from them. You know,
exactly. Like they see you're genuine. They
see that like, you really and they're genuinely wanting to help out and wanting to like, you know what I'm saying. Even if they're not trying to. Like, even if they're not, they're still willing to support, you know what I'm saying, in whatever way that is. Even if it's saying, yo, keep up the good work, whatever, like, they're still willing to do that and not think, like, they're firm in where they are, their position, to the point that you can still hit them up or they can help you out or they can appreciate you growing, you know? And that's something I try to learn, too, as well, because obviously the way I look at it is, like, if I'm in a position... Everybody's in the position to be a leader, I believe.
Yep.
Whether you do it, whether you're intentional and you do it for the right reason or not, you're in a position to be a leader, right? If you have people that come to you to ask you certain questions or look to you for advice, and you have the opportunity to be a mentor, you know. So for me, it's like I look at like the information and obviously like the support I get from others, and I try to just reflect that on whoever I can, whether that's someone that's asking, if you have something. Like, I wish I had more work to help people out and, like, you know, bring more opportunities. And I know, you know, God's willing, I'll have that in the future. And that's what we're working towards. But, yeah, like, it's also teaching me to be firm in where I am. Because, again, nothing's new. So, even if this person that comes after me or started later than me is successful, that shouldn't take away from what I'm doing at all, because my goal wasn't necessarily to beat that person. You know, it's just like that just like that saying when like with your grades, like if you have the best grades in the class, that's whatever. But it's like, if your grades aren't better than your last grades, then it's one thing. So I'm really just trying to be a better person for myself and improve in my way. Because if I try to compete with everybody else, then naturally I'm just gonna emulate what they're doing. You know.
Then you lose yourself, man.
Then you lose yourself because you're like, damn, bro, I just did the same thing that this guy just did, and they're not messing with it. Like, nah, I'm gonna be the sickest in the city. Like, I used to even get cheated. Like I'm confident in my work, but how can I say like I'm the best out when I know so many good people? Like, and that's right, bro. I just do my thing. That's it. I do my thing. I try to do the best I can, and that allows me to be comfortable with other people being great, you know what I'm saying?
You know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
All that really matters. Someone calls Seth G the best, fire because they said it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like that's a big thing. Whatever other people say about me, I'll just let them speak for me. But
you, if you're not comfortable, I related to like the artists that sign a record deal and then put out like they're putting out like a radio friendly song and like, it's not true to them and shit, you know. It's like you feel that
you can like
kind of devaluing the shit, watering the shit
like
down.
The intentions behind what they're doing with the music is different than like them just putting out music and that's natural though with a lot of artists,
bro.
Everybody like why don't they make the music they used to or whatever. Bro. Like naturally, you're gonna get influenced by the fact that a lot of people have input on your work. You know.
My boy put it in a good way, bro. You're not always gonna walk a straight line, man. Even the most confident people are gonna sway at some point, walk on the grass a little bit, you know. But you'll make your way back if you know.
That's real. It up. That's a good way to look at it too. And that process is not
never.
It's not straight. Like some of the things that I've come to in my process today are things that I probably thought about before that I just ignored. Yeah. Or it's like, I'll worry about that later. Yep. Then you try to do this and then it just brings you back to, square one. So, yeah, like, knowing that just teaches you, like, it's okay to try things, it's okay to mess up, it's okay to fail. And, like, as long as you're learning, as long as their intention around your actions, like, it's all productive. At
all learning experiences.
Yeah.
Real shit. Got the gallon jug down here, too.
Come on, man. If you're not drinking your water, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, that's the second time I've seen that bottle today. That's fucking hilarious with the times on it.
It's essential.
That's so
Good morning. What time are we at right now?
We're at, what is it, like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, don't watch that.
I'm gonna chug that after this. That's so funny,
yeah,
bro.
Man, so like...
Drink more water.
That's essential.
Hell yeah.
That's it. Just gotta take care of yourself. Like, just be intentional.
Hell yeah, bro. So before we wrap it up, I wanted to ask you, are you a film buff? That you watch a lot of movies on your off time?
I try to. I definitely like the movies that I do watch, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll call myself a film buff yet, but I would say so. I analyze movies.
Since you've been doing this shit, you feel like the way you watch a movie is different now?
Like, definitely as I got older, I started to realize how they were doing some of the stuff that they were doing in movies. But when I was younger, I still grew up watching a lot of movies, like, with my older bro, because he's 8 years older than me. So, like, I'm watching, like, a lot of, like, Fast and Furious, and, like, a lot of, like, cassettes, like, a lot of classics. Yep. Sandlot, you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Like, super classic. Just a lot of classics. Honey, We Shrunk the Kids. Like a lot of those, like, goofy movies. Like, Jim Carrey, anything Jim Carrey, goated. I remember I had a kindergarten teacher. She told my mom that I'm going to be the next Jim Carrey, and I ran with it. Like, that's a lot. To this day, like, it's just imprinted on my brain. Like, if I ever meet Jim Carrey, I'm gonna tell him, I'm like, yo, look, you don't even understand. But yeah, I would say I don't know still. I don't know, because movie buffs, they really go, they'll watch anything. If I don't like a movie, I'm not gonna finish it. I'm sorry.
No, I hate that. I'm the same way.
I might, if I can understand it, but if it's like, if it doesn't like get my attention from the rip, then I probably won't finish it. But I do like movies though. I like TV too. Like a lot of the new shows, like Atlanta and stuff like that, is really like I like those shows because obviously it's like TV in a way that's more relatable because the people that are writing those shows are, coming from communities that we're used to and stuff like that, and written by like people that look like us and stuff like that. So it's definitely a good. I feel like it's a weird space for art, but it's interesting because everybody kind of is gaining more access to tell more stories. So
that's true, bro, and the quality is crazy too.
Yeah,
cinematic quality. A lot of these shows.
Yeah, for less than what you're used to. Because before it'll be like, back in the day, it's probably like the up movies are sick, and then the budget ones are just
now everyone
toast.
Can make a banger.
Literally, you can go buy a camera if you light it properly, get the proper system going. That will come out nice.
Real shit.
It's interesting stuff. Like I'm excited to see like where film goes in the next couple of years, as I get older and stuff like that, and see what my impact could be on that as well, and looking forward to that for sure.
Same here, bro.
Looking forward to that
too, my guy. So we're approaching the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Any projects coming up that you want to promote? Anything you want to speak to the people about?
So any projects. So right now, really, I've just been, getting the business together, understanding myself. Recently just started my business called Candid Crumbs Media. It's gonna be like the extension of myself in a sense, like where it's a place where my goal is to definitely have some events and like films, projects, conversation, like just build a community around this brand and around like using the little that you have to offer like big impact to others. That's pretty much like the idea of Candid Crumbs. It's just documenting like the bits and pieces of people and their stories that what I'm saying, that
now
make
I'm
up
the name.
That make up the bigger picture.
The
but obviously
crumbs of life.
The crumbs of life, literally, like
that
make up the bigger picture and do it in a way that's candid, and authentic.
That's real, bro. Candid Crumbs. Keep
Candid
an eye out
Crumbs.
for that. I'm excited, bro.
Definitely.
That's hard.
We'll definitely have to see if we could collab on something.
Hell
get
yeah,
you to
bro. You
run some interviews, some specials.
That's fire.
Yeah,
Candid
bro.
Crumbs. I'm excited.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
I just took in what you mean with the name. I'm like, oh, that's hard.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like
fuck.
it had a different name before, but like.
Candid Crumbs is it. That's lit.
But it just kind of like created an identity for itself. So over the next couple of years, definitely that's gonna be my focus. But immediately though, hopefully soon. Like actually, for right now, I do have a documentary that is on the way. It's almost done. It's just in the editing process right now with this. I even send you his Instagram, but DeAndre is a basketball player from Brampton and just telling his story. So that's about to come out soon.
And you directed it?
Yeah, so I directed it. Got some people to help out with shooting and stuff like that. Shout out to Ilsa Nomadic, you know what I'm saying, Remarkable. And yeah, just shout out to Brampton again. Like
shout out Brampton,
just
bro. If you're not paying attention,
bro,
you're lacking,
like
man.
I don't know what to tell you. Like this, like
the talent is fucking in
it's
Brampton,
insane,
bro.
and it's just generation. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say, bro, my generation is it. Like after us, there's no one else. Like because there's definitely people that I know that are younger than me that have just as much, even if not more, impact than I do, and people that come before me that insane impact. So just everybody's kind of just doing their thing, living within their means. Working on themselves, and it's just really cool. But those would be the things that are most immediately coming out right now that people can definitely support and tap into, and like just a lot of more work coming out. I feel like now that the pandemic's over and I've sat with myself, I definitely have more confidence in what I'm doing, to call myself a director and actually put out the work. So I haven't put out work like this ever, so or in this context, so I'm interested to see the response on that for sure.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to check that, bro. Can't wait.
Mhm.
That's going to be
Appreciate
fire.
it,
I already
appreciate
know.
it.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Seth G, I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
your time, my guy. This was a fun
Of
ass
course.
conversation.
Hey, man. I'm gonna check
Fire.
back in soon.
Hell yeah, man.
You know, check back in, just have another talk. But I definitely appreciate the opportunity. You know, it's my first time ever doing
Dope.
I've done a podcast before. I'm lying. I can't diss 401 East. I'm sorry.
401 East.
401 East with Sunshine.
Check
You know what I'm
that
saying?
out.
Shout out Philly. But yeah, like it's just always looking for opportunities to talk more, you know, share my story. But I definitely appreciate you for giving me the opportunity.
Anytime, bro. Open door
Yeah.
for sure.
Shout out to, you know, Versatile Vigilante, you know what I'm saying?
You heard it from the
Young
man.
Vinci in the building.
We're out here, bro.
We're
Love
here,
it.
man. Appreciate it, bro, for sure.
Appreciate you, bro. Anytime. Versatile Vigilante, Seth G. Keep your eye out for his new projects. A lot of bangers on the way, man. Let's get it.
Gang.
That was a banger,
I was
bro.
blessed.
That was fire.